Yo, what's up everybody? Alright, let's break down how to do some hand-to-hand slams and how to do it faster. So first, hand-to-hand slams. First thing you want to do is see what each hand is doing. So what I'm going to do right now is isolate the right hand by playing it on the drum and play the left hand part on my leg so I can really hear what's going on with the right hand. So what do you notice? The right hand is just doing an accent tap pattern like Bucks. Okay, so work on that and then let's try to see if you can go faster. So what you're going to notice is it's going to be really efficient to play the accent tap pattern like you normally would, which is a nice staccato accent and then tap, and then do that over and over. But when you go faster, it's really hard to get that faster with that technique. So the best thing to do is to be really light with your accent and also not be as staccato, right, with the accent. Okay, so try not to squeeze too hard and stay there too long. Rather, go hit as hard and then just move right away. Now, you do have a tap after that. So you have accent, really light, not as tight, okay, don't downstroke it as much, then play the tap. For the purposes of efficiency and speed, when you play that tap, start to move for that next accent. The best way to do that is kind of do like a whipping motion where you're playing the tap, but then you're starting to move starting with the back end, right, to get that next note in a lot faster, all right? This could all be considered like a molar technique as well. So try to practice that Bucks pattern like this. And that's how you get faster hand-to-hand slams. What's up everybody, it's Carl, aka Carl Drum Tech. I'm here right now walking around Beverly Hills, and today I want to talk about life after marching band or drum corps or whatever the case may be, because somebody asked me, hey Carl, what kind of advice could you give somebody, just getting out of high school or drum corps in terms of like career choices and what you can do after that? Because for this person, it didn't seem like he got a lot of good advice as far as what you could do after marching band and or drum corps. Now, let me preface this with, the reason why you haven't gotten good advice about what to do after marching band or drum corps is because there really is no good advice. Let me explain, all right? So on one hand, what are the typical things you can do after marching band or drum corps, right? You can go teach. That's like one of the biggest things you can do right after, right? So you can go into coaching, you can go teach a drum line, you can tech, you can maybe eventually be a caption head, something like that, and do that. You can be a band director, so you can go to school, major in music, and work up to being a band director, or major in music and be a performer. You could possibly audition for a orchestra or something like that. If your concert band chops are really all good and you're about that life, you can go and do that. But the problem is, especially with the playing gig, right? Even if you let's say you want to be a drum set player and you want to gig playing drum set and get paid doing that. Well, the problem is, especially with orchestra, it can be super competitive, right? So if you try out for like a timpani spot, a lot of times the guys who are playing timpani there are there pretty much until they die, right? And the only time you can audition is when they die, and then even then you're going to be auditioning against hundreds of applicants, right? So it's really a competitive industry to get into, okay? So what about same thing with if you want to be a rock drummer, right? It's how many bands make it big to where they can be really compensated really well for what they do, right? Or what about teaching? That is the thing where there's an abundance of choices out there as far as what you can do. You can start teaching right out of high school. The problem with that is it doesn't really pay that well. How do I know? Because I've been there, right? Where you just don't get paid that much to do teaching, all right? So what is one left to do, right? It's well, you can go do a normal job, and then you can just do that, and take any of these stores here, you can apply to any of these stores and work a regular job, okay? But that might not be your passion. And the thing is that you want to be passionate about what you do, because there's that saying, right? It's if you are doing something you are passionate about, right, then you will never work a day in your life, right? So your work has to be something that you're very passionate about, okay? So that's the other thing too is like you're trying to figure out, okay, well, what if music is my passion? Well, you just have to fully understand the implications of it, right? It's that, yeah, there aren't a lot of choices out there for playing gigs. There's a lot of competition. Or what about, like, you know, if you want to teach, like, it doesn't pay that well. You have to go in there understanding that that is what you're up against, and you have to be okay with that if it is absolutely your passion. If it is your passion, it is your goal, you should go for it absolutely without any, you know, thought about whether you should do it or not, you know, whether it's practical or not, all right? But on the other hand, if you are really practical, then you have to think about other things that you can do, anything else other than music, right? And, you know, perhaps this is something you can do, music is something you can do on the side, and, you know, you do a regular job so that you can be compensated well and that you can make a living, right? So, like I said, right, that's the thing. Like, there's no real good advice, because that's just the state of where we're at in terms of, you know, if you want to be a, you know, music major and you want to make music your career, right? Whether that's teaching or playing or things like that. So you really have to ask yourself what you want, okay? Because here's the thing. You might decide that music is your passion, you're gonna go for it 100% and go hard, but then you might realize that maybe music really isn't your passion, that once it becomes your job, that maybe that's not something you're so passionate about, because music was just like something like you enjoyed doing. It was like for fun, it was like a hobby kind of thing. And then once you realize that you have to do it for work, that you have to have music in your life as something like that basically gives you income so you can survive, that might change your thinking a little bit, and you might go, maybe music is really not my thing, right? So those are all the things you have to ask yourself, and only you can answer that question as far as like what it is you really want to do, that you're passionate about, and also at the same time rely on it for your living so that you can basically eat, right, and live, okay? So make sure you understand exactly what you're getting into, and then make sure you go for it 100% once you do realize what it is that you want to go for and what is best for you, right? Whatever path it is. I mean, I can tell you a million billion things that you could possibly do, but ultimately you decide. So you have to make sure it is exactly what you want to do, and you are absolutely ready to live with whatever comes with that choice. All right, does that make sense? Okay, so you know, another thing I could recommend for you guys is, like, you know, especially like, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, careers, okay, start thinking about, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like it has a lot to do with finance and, like, you know, making a living and getting a job and things like that. So I absolutely recommend this book. It's by Robert Kiyosaki. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It is seriously one of the best books I've ever read. So go check that out. If you know, just go to Amazon, get that book. It's going to explain to you a lot about, like, you know, not just like the conventional advice that most people give you, but in terms of, like, you know, how you can actually, you know, survive by either being an employee, by being a, you know, self-employed individual, by being an entrepreneur, right, or being an investor. So there's all these options that you want to be aware of, so that you can, again, have many choices in what you want to do. So and possibly find your passion. But, you know, it's all comes down to, right, like making a living for yourself so that you can survive out there. And maybe music's your thing, maybe it's not. You just have to try to find a way, you know, to make it work, right? So if music is the thing you want to go for, you got to make it work somehow. It's got to pay for, you know, your food and your living expenses, right? So yeah, so that's pretty much all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you guys like this video, please make sure you hit that like button right now. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave that in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Make sure you subscribe, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it when you guys are subscribed, and check out the latest new videos, all right? And if you feel like this video could help somebody else out, please make sure you share this video on all your social media. I would really appreciate that as well. All right, so cool. That's all I have for today. Thank you again for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, take care. Make some good decisions as far as like what you want to do with your life after marching band and you know, drum corps. Start thinking about these things, right? And here's the other thing, okay? Don't you think that the skills that you learn in marching band and drum corps can be applied to everything that you could possibly do that's not related to it, right? I mean, you know, I work as an office administrator for a real estate brokerage. Do you think that, like, all the skills I learned as a marching percussionist in a marching percussion marching percussionist educator, you know, don't you think that that applies to a lot of stuff I do as an office administrator? Absolutely, okay? So just in terms of just like, you know, when me first learning about the gig, I mean, it's like first learning about how to play drums. When you're dealing with the real estate agents and the people and the clients, don't you think that's like dealing with people in your drum line and all the things, all the situations, the social situations I had to come across when I was in a group or when I was teaching. I mean, all those things helped me out when I tried to navigate socially around, you know, clients and agents and things like that. So remember all these lessons that you learn in the activity, and then no matter what you do, you're going to be able to apply it and you're going to be able to use that to your advantage. All right, so that is another pearl of wisdom I can give for you today. Basically, all right, find your passion and go do that. Peace.